Welcome back to Between the Lines with me, Jamz Supernova, a podcast all about breaking down the craft of songwriting and the messages and meanings behind some of mine and hopefully your favourite songs. And with me today, I've got Ego LMA.
Hi.
Yes. I'm so happy to have you on this. Like every artist we, specifically pick with a sort of fine-tooth comb. And it really is the artist that, I play so much music on the radio, right? But not everything makes it back home.
Yeah.
And your music and the people that have been on this podcast, their music makes it back home, as in I'm washing up. Let me put some Ego LMA on,
Okay, that's good.
So I've listened
that makes me
deeply.
Happy. Yes. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Like I said, I've listened to the podcast.
I'm gassed about that.
I know what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I've wanted to do one.
So from songwriter to songwriter lover, I'm glad that you appreciate the podcast.
I love it.
I was going back into, I love doing this as well, like looking back at pictures of when I first met people.
Yeah.
And the internet is great for that.
Yeah.
So 2019, you came on my radio show. I had a terrible weave. Nobody told me. Really bad.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I'm going to pull it out and show you a bit later on.
I don't remember you having a terrible week.
Okay, well,
I remember the thing, but I don't remember you having a terrible week.
Yeah, it wasn't given. It was given 2010 when we were in 2019.
Oh.
But then I did some quick maths, right? So in those 5 years, you have had 3 EPs out and an album, right? And previous body of work, like a project, right? That's impressive.
I know.
That's consistent. That says productivity.
I know, and it's so funny because for most of my life, I've always felt like I don't do enough, or like I'm just so chill and like it just takes me ages to do anything. But then with music, I don't know, it kind of just flows.
Yeah.
But I'm not the kind of person that like is eat, breathe, sleep music, like makes music all the time, every single day I'm writing. So it is kind of weird.
Somehow you've moved, like you've just been, sort of moving in waves, like as you're growing and living, the music is coming.
Yeah.
And it's sonically it's changed because I went back to like that very first, Table for One, and then, jumped forward to Field Notes Part 3.
Yeah.
And I could hear like sonically the changes. And for you, I wonder for you, what journey have you gone on musically? Just sonically, like in terms of like, because I was like, it's crisper, it's warmer, it's,
Okay, that's good. Well, I think in the beginning it was very like producer, beatsy heavy. It was usually just one person in the room and me. I'd be mostly writing lyrics and melodies. The other person would just be focusing on the beat. And it was very much like, I do my thing and you do your thing. And because I'm such a lover of I'm just an active listener of music, I really felt like I wasn't delving deep into actual musicianship, musicians, instruments. I wasn't really delving into that side, but I listened to a lot of music like that. So I think as the years have gone on and I've been working more with a band, I play a bit of guitar. Like I think I've just started to focus a lot more on the actual instruments as well as my voice and how they can kind of like gel together.
And composition as well.
Yeah.
Because Field Notes Part 3 and all of them, there's moments, where they just have that like crescendo of music that just like impact what you've just said.
Yeah.
And was there part of that journey of becoming a producer as well? You said, I've co-produced this music.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of that. What was that like?
It was really special because, like I said, I think I've always just focused on like the voice and the lyrics because I guess that's what I've been most confident in for the longest time. But there is also a side of me that really, really loves focusing on the instruments. Like you said, the composition, it's always been a part of me, but I guess I've never felt confident enough to kind of take it on. So I really actually wanted to challenge myself and be like, actually, I know what I'm doing in this area too. And I actually want to develop that side of me even more. And so, I was just like really proud to focus on a different side of the music and like see how that transforms it in a way.
And Field Notes was recorded and a lot of it written in lockdown.
Yeah.
Right. So 2020. We all know what time that was.
Yeah.
But where were you physically when you wrote the song Undone, which is on Part 3?
So Undone, that was written 2 years ago. And I'd just gotten back from LA. And I was feeling really overwhelmed actually with just the amount of musicians I was around, I suppose.
We're going back now. Like, hold on, too many musicians now.
Just too many.
Yeah.
Like too many. I was working with a lot of different people. And I actually felt like I was starting to lose the part of me that actually just enjoyed working with friends. I feel like the more I got into the music industry, the more I was able to work with lots of different people, which was obviously a blessing. But I also thought there was a side of me that really just enjoyed the people that I came up with, you know? So I guess I was just a bit confused during that time. And I came back and I remember thinking to myself, wow, this is so great. I've been in the room with such amazing people, but I also just miss my people at the same time. So I came back and I got in a session with my good friend Luther, and he's like a book-loving, introverted twin of mine.
Kindred spirits, yeah.
Yeah, and so I got in the studio and I was just feeling a bit fragile. And I remember actually listening to this podcast, and this guy was being interviewed, and his name was Bjorn Natiko Lindeblad. He was a business executive. He's Swedish. He's a business executive. And then he completely changed his life around and became a monk. Was living in Thailand for 17 years, practicing as a monk. And it was just that shift where he was like, I just gave up control. Like something didn't feel right. I wanted to start again. In his like 30s, he was just like, I just want to start again. And I really was just inspired by the things he was saying. So I then bought his book.
Good interview. If we lead into some money exchanging.
I really bought the book. I know. And then I was like reading the book and just feeling like, wow, like just so many quotables. And he just was such an introspective, just a beautiful, kind, warm soul. And I really, really loved the things he was saying.
And the book's called I May Be Wrong, right? And I guess thinking about the journey of Field Notes, so we've got, part 1, part 2, part 3, and then 2 years out of lockdown you wrote this. So maybe like, is this weird sort of being like solitude, being around people again, and then wanting solitude again?
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like it's just the introverted side of me. And also I have realised that there's like Ego LMA, the artist, and then there's just Ego, the person, who's actually, they're quite different. I feel like I can put on the like, I kind of call myself like a performative extrovert. Like I know how to put it on. Yeah. I know what needs to be done to like be the singer, be the performer. But really, if you like really know me, I'm actually just quite shy. I don't really like a lot of attention. And I get overwhelmed quite easily or drained when I have to feel like I'm performing. But also understand like, that's just a part of it. And like music is my love. Like I just do what I need to do, to make it work. But I also acknowledge that there is a side of me that just really likes peace and quiet. Yeah. And so I think, the whole like being in solitude, I actually really enjoyed the fact that everyone just had to stay in and just face their stuff, I kind of enjoyed that. I liked just sitting around and having time to think, And then when we got back outside, I was like, I am excited to see people and have these conversations and share what I've learned. But then I also got a bit tired again and was like, now I need to retreat. And I feel like I just go through stages where I'm like, it's a bit like that. Like I need, like 1 minute I'm like, I really want to share these things. And I want to have a one-to-one conversation, or I want to have a group conversation about life and what we're going through. And then I'm like, and now I need to retreat and just like take it all in.
Yeah, like a cat.
Yeah, like a cat.
Yeah, I can be quite cat-like. Like,
right?
Yeah, I love my own company. I love being on my own. That's why I like DJing and traveling, because I get to spend quite a lot of time on the move on my own. And like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to read this magazine. I'm going to have a bath. I'm going to do, like.
Yeah, love that.
And when you heard the podcast and then read the book, what was it that spoke to you? This monk that really just completely went a completely different. Money means nothing.
Yeah, I think it was just his willingness to start again and see what else life has in store for him. And I think there's a part of me sometimes that feels like, what else am I good at? Or like, what else would I possibly explore if it wasn't music? And in fact, there wasn't this fear, you know? And I just quite liked that he was just like, I just want to try something else. I want to get still. I want to trust that this thing is like speaking to me, and I want to see where it goes. And he just completely gave up control in like the best way, you know? And I just thought that, that in that time of my life as well, like I said, I got back from LA and I was just feeling really overwhelmed, didn't really know what was next for me. And I just thought, I just need to give up control and see where life takes me. Even if it is like away from music for a while, you know, like to just build up that love again. I want to trust that that's okay and we'll see what happens. So I think that's really what spoke to me. And also the book is called I May Be Wrong, because he really says that like you have to just trust that it may be the wrong thing to do, but just trying it, that's like the key, isn't it?
That's
just
what
giving
holds
it a
us
go.
back. Yeah, I think that idea of like all the you think of all the things that it could be like leaving your job, it could be, you know, ending a relationship, it could be parking that idea that you really want to do but you can't get it off the ground right now. You know, the idea of like, well, one, the idea of thinking that things might go wrong so you don't take a chance, but then the other thing is about when do you give up? So I wanted to jump into the first part of the verse. So I've been thinking I lost my touch, then read about a forest monk, trained for 17 years, rid many of his fears. Seems the key is giving up. And I really thought that seems the key is giving up. I mean, this is a conversation that I have with my friends, and I don't know if it's where we're at in our age and we're thinking about the next things we want to do. You spent your 20s doing this particular job or this particular career, which is so like linked to who you are as a person, but now it's like, well, what else can I do, or what else do I want to do, or do I still want to do this? But it's hard to give up because it's like there's so many like quotes that are like, God doesn't like a quitter, or like, you know, don't give up when you're so close, you know, that like meme when the guy's mining and he's like almost at the gold and he turns around and walks. That's always in my head. Or it's like, you know, never give up. But what did you feel that you had to give up in terms of being able to move forward? Because was it the music, I guess, was it music for a period of time, or was it something else?
Well, I suppose it was just that need to like constantly feel like I'm moving forward, because I think I have, in terms of music, I've done a lot of the things that I could only dream about, and that's made me really, really grateful. But it's also, I've also got this like self-inflicted pressure around that I just feel like it has to constantly be like onwards and upwards. But I really think I've just done well enough to just pursue this crazy industry anyways, you know? So anything else, I'm like, well, that's just a bonus, you know? And I kind of want to give up feeling like I constantly have to be striving for more, when actually I'm really just grateful and content with where I'm at. And I want to just like linger in that for a while without constantly feeling like I have to just move on to the next thing straight away, you know?
That's
that.
Yeah, I get that. I think when you having a kid forces you to be still, because there's, you know, there's sort of constraints on your time, constraints on what you can do. And I always think like Instagram is like the thief of joy, because you could feel like, you know, I'm good, man, like I'm happy where I am. And then you go, like for me as a DJ, you go online and then you see someone post like 200 dates all over summer. You're like, oh man, I'm not doing enough. Oh gosh. You know, and then, but it's like, but I was actually cool with what I had.
Exactly. I feel like that all the time, even down to like what to eat, you know, like I could be craving like, I don't know, a burger and some fries, and then like someone else will be like, I just had the most delicious pizza and it was like the best thing ever. And then I'm like, no, actually I want a pizza, but like I was not even thinking about that, you know. But I compare myself to a lot of musicians online, and that makes me really sad. But I also think it's quite hard to not do that, especially when a lot of my friends are also my peers.
Yes, your algorithm is like all your music friends. Mine's all my DJ mates.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's super hard to not compare yourself because we're also seeing that all the time.
Yeah.
And they're our friends.
Yeah, like, and you're happy for them.
It's
of
really,
course,
yeah.
But there's that, and you could be like looking at something whilst you're somewhere doing something. You could be at rehearsals, and then you see it, and it's like, but you're here.
Exactly.
And you can't see that because you've just seen it here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I definitely think there's like that added pressure because, like I said, we're like all kind of in the same field. We're seeing what each other is doing all the time. And I was talking to my friend about it. He's an accountant, and he was like, "Well, I just don't really get it." And I'm like, "You don't follow like 700 other accountants that are literally posting about like how great they are as accountants. Like you don't quite, like it's not the same thing." Whereas I will like, we follow each other. We follow like all of our friends who are also doing some of the things that we want to be doing, and we're so happy for them. But there is that thing as well where you're like, should I be doing this? Or like I'll see like one of my friends is in the studio today, and I'm like, should I be? Oh yeah, I've got to be working on my album. I should be in the studio too. And it's like, but says who? It's so easy to just feel like but I should be doing it too because they're doing it, or now I'm not doing enough, and I don't like that.
The mute button has been handy because I don't want to unfollow because I love you and I like you and I really like your IRL. But for me personally, I cannot not follow you. I follow you. But there's some DJs that I just like mute because it just triggers me in some way. And and it's quite vulnerable to actually express that because then you've got the whole thing like we should all be empowering each other. And it's like it's not that I'm not, and I am in person, but online I just need to sort of create those boundaries. And like you said, should you have to be in the studio every day? No, you might want to go read a book or have a swim. You say questioning your own rules, and you say it twice. I love the ad-libs. I feel like are your ad-libs like your subconscious?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I really, really wanted that line. I needed to repeat that because I just think we don't question things enough. Sometimes we just believe every thought. Or we think something and we're like, that must be true. But we've never, well, for me, let me speak from the I space. I don't challenge my thinking enough. And I think because, like, for instance, because I'm a singer, it means I have to constantly be working on music. I have to be an extrovert. I have to be super confident. I have to work the crowd all the time. That's what I believe I should be doing as a singer. But it's like, have I ever questioned that and been like, but who are you as a person? And can the two gel? Can the two mesh? Can you actually challenge what you think a singer should be and actually just think, this is how I am? And I also happen to be a singer, so it must be right.
Yeah.
I don't think these things enough. And so reading that book, I guess it just made me think about how I like portray myself or how I think of myself on a daily basis, and how some of that thinking actually needs to be challenged.
And how do you sort of challenge it? Because it's like, forget what you think that you know.
Yeah.
Don't believe your every thought. Be prepared to start questioning your own rules. And in that is on top of that is the sense of losing control. It can be really hard to actually undo the thinking.
Exactly.
It's one thing to be aware of your thoughts. It's another thing to undo it. So what sort of steps did you go to kind of undo?
I did a lot of journaling where I didn't try to like restrict what I was saying in any way or writing in any way. I also just asked myself questions. I've been in therapy for a very long time as well. So like I guess it's easier for me to know when I'm bullshitting myself, to be honest, and to just challenge that and to also just have these conversations with people, and the people I can be vulnerable enough around, I guess I just can open up about these things and not feel judged, or just say like, I've been thinking about this thing and I don't know if I'm feeling, I don't know if I actually feel this, or if this is like the fear in me talking or feeling like I should be this way. Yeah. Like I want to talk about it, or I want to write it down, or I just want to sit with it. And not even like, maybe I don't have the answers, but I'm just like, I'm aware of it. So I'm just going to sit with it for a bit and see what happens.
That's like the Buddhist, the idea of meditation. So it's the idea of like a thought comes, you're aware of the thought.
Yeah.
You might think about the thought. and then you kind of you let it go. Journaling is, and the subconscious journaling, you know, sort of like the sort of 3 pages, just sort of scribbling. That's sort of come up quite a lot. If some people journal like as in what's happened to them, and some people do the sort of like freehand writing. And I found that whenever I've done like freehand writing, like it's like example. I went to something the other day, and I was like, I don't think, you know, you just think someone doesn't like you. You just like, I don't think, you know. And it kind of chimed with me. Like I was like, why? I want you to like me. I like you. And then I wrote about it the next day, and I was like, and then I was able to like solve it in the writing. I was like, I didn't think she liked me. Do you know what? That's fine. I think she was nervous. You know.
That's really important.
And then I was able to let it go. Yeah, it was done.
That's so important.
Yeah, so if I saw her again, I'd be like, hi.
Yeah, you know? Like you'd just still be the same. And also a lot of the time, I think we think things are about us.
Oh God, yeah.
But I'm realising that sometimes most of the time it's actually just not.
No.
And then you're like, it's probably nothing to do with me. Especially if you haven't done anything.
Well, maybe I did. Maybe I did. But yeah, now I'm thinking actually I did step on her toes. Definitely. I wanted to, I love the opening line. I'm going to jump back. I'm just going to move around because there's so many sort of great moments in this song. But this idea of like losing your touch, what does that feel like, you know, as a creative? Like what does Ego LMA feel like when she's on fire? And then what does it feel like when you've lost your touch?
When I'm on fire, I feel like everything just flows naturally. I don't really overthink anything. I'm just kind of like, I feel very chilled. I feel like this is my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I don't look at other people as much. I'm just like, this is my journey. This is where I'm at. And then when I'm losing touch, or I feel like I'm losing touch, in inverted commas, it's when I start to look around me too much, or I think I'm not moving quick enough, or like I'm working on an album at the moment and I'm like, why isn't it done yet? It's a much different process to the first one. Does this mean I shouldn't be doing it? You know, I start to just overthink a lot of things. And yeah, that's when I feel like I'm out of touch.
Yeah, the touch thing, that's, you know, because that's our thing, you know, that when you do have that like moment, that's your fire, that's the thing you lean into, you run with, and it does feel like it's sometimes that it's like it's not always with you, and it's impossible. If it was with you all the time, then you wouldn't be able to live to experience things for it to come back to you as well. You inspired me though, because I feel like you're you know, you sort of said about the journaling, therapy, and knowing when you're bullshitting yourself, knowing what you need. You inspired me to go and stay in a cabin.
Did I?
Yeah, it was the cabin that you put your phone away and you lock it.
Yeah.
We saw it, we saved it on Instagram, me and partner, we're like, we have to do that.
Yeah.
So you go to a cabin, you could by choice, it's not by force. Lock your phone away, they give you a Nokia and a compass. I feel like
that's the point, like you have to do it.
You have to, if you don't do it, then why are you there?
Yeah,
you know?
It's a digital detox.
It's a digital detox, that's it.
Yeah.
You get a cassette player, you play some tapes. I had, oh my God, who did I have?
Who did you have? I had Nina Simone.
Me too. Was you the one in Brighton?
That.
Like near Brighton?
No.
Oh, maybe they have all of them.
I don't know. Maybe they're just Nina Simone fans.
Just loads of Nina.
Maybe they're just Nina Simone fans. I was like, it's meant to be. They have Nina Simone here.
That was a great one. I think they had like some really great tracks on that. And then I think we had the Police as well. But it was working. It was with us, And Jenga.
Oh, yeah, we had Jenga. It was really, like, I thought that trip was so necessary. And I was like, I need to keep having these digital detoxes. Like, obviously I don't need to go to like the forest to do it, but it was just so nice to get my little brick phone. Oh, and it had Snake on it.
It did. I played Snake so much.
It had
How
Snake
far did you get? What level?
Oh, don't ask me that question.
No, I can't get past 4. Don't worry.
I'm not very good, but I enjoy it anyways. I enjoy it. But yeah, that I feel like it was just necessary to just get away from the noise, to have time in nature on a digital detox. I don't know, like I didn't know how much I needed that trip.
And 3 days is all you need. Like that's what they say, like 3 days, or you know, even 48 hours is all you need to really kind of to switch off essentially. And then once you've done that, and then your habits are a little bit different on the other side. Did you do much writing or was you just being?
Well, I did a bit of writing, but for the most part I was kind of just taking it in, and then knowing that like I would probably come back to this moment and know exactly what I wanted to say about it. So like I did take my guitar just in case. I was like, there might be something, you know, I'm ready for it if it comes. And I did a little bit, but yeah, I guess for the most part, I really just wanted to be present and just like take in what was happening.
Yeah. Did you go with somebody or on your own?
Yeah, me and Tom went together.
Yeah, okay. I went with Sam and Forrest and the dog Shay, which in that tiny cabin, it was intense. Yeah, I didn't need a phone because there was a lot of drama in front of me. But I think I would love to. I don't know if I'd be too scared because it's like literally like a sort of
kind of
cabin in the field,
in the middle of nowhere.
Yes,
I think in the day, I think I'd be fine. But at night,
I
don't know if I could be there by myself.
It could turn into a horror show.
Yeah. I don't know about that. So I was quite happy to have him there with me.
Definitely. No, I'd recommend it. Well, we can maybe post to the place that we went and stayed in, but it's definitely worth it. They've got quite a few now.
Yeah, they do.
But you inspired me. I saw it and I was like, yeah, I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
We'll get back to verse 2. So I've been feeling I'm on the brink. I've been feeling believe. So I love the ad-libs. Believe in everything I think. Try not to think. Try not to think. If I'm not creating, does it mean I'm wasting my God-given gift? Wow.
Yeah, that's something I've battled with for a long time.
Yeah. So it's like you can sing.
Yeah.
You're talented at singing.
Yeah.
So therefore I must sing.
Yeah. I feel like, and because I've wanted it for so long, there are moments where I feel like I should be singing all the time, being the like typical singer that I see everywhere. you know, I'm like, I felt guilty a lot of the time when I'm not, when I'm in like my download period of like not really making a lot of music and just kind of living in order to write, you know, I kind of just, I'm not the kind of person that can just churn out songs after songs after songs. So I sometimes feel guilty for that. Yeah. And I feel like I'm really blessed to be able to do what I do. But I also think my process is not constantly doing it all the time. But it's like this weird battle that I have. It just makes me feel bad for not being that way.
Yeah.
And I have those questions where I'm like, does it mean I'm like wasting my talent? Like I know, especially when I meet people and I'm like, I'm a singer, and they're like, oh my God, like that's so cool. I wish I could sing. And the excitement that they have, I feel like, oh, well, I should be doing it every day though, or I should be, you know, further along. And I just have that guilt sometimes.
Do you pour your creativity into other things? You know, I mean, you came in with this stunning handbag that you had crocheted yourself.
Yeah, I do. That's the thing. I really enjoy like creative work in a different way as well. I use my hands a lot. Like I love sewing. I love doing pottery. I've recently gone into making bags using crochet, some satin and crocheting a bag.
Really nice. I want one. Yeah.
So I try and like lend myself to creativity in other ways for those moments where I'm not feeling maybe like musically inspired. You know, I try and just keep that spark flowing in a different way.
And then does that help? Because I always find if I do something completely outside of music related things, then like going to the cinema or like film for some reason really inspires loads of thoughts in my head. Then it makes me think about coming back to music, or something will just like in my subconscious, like as I'm doing the thing that's not the thing, I start thinking about the thing.
I think that does happen for me sometimes, but I start thinking that I should just be doing the thing.
Yes, and then you go,
that's the thing. I'm like, I shouldn't be like making a bag when I've got an album to write. Why are you making a bag? You know, it's like my mind sometimes really is just like the thing, do the thing. And there's a lot of the time where I feel like I'm kind of it's like this resistance where I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that, because there's a lot more to me besides just making this album, you know, and maybe I want to juggle a bit. And
if it was a 9 to 5, but if it is in your 9 to 5, but if it was like a 9 to 5 in the office, you would need to stop working at some point and do other things. Like, you know, if your accountant friend, I'm sure they have, when it gets to 6 p.m, they're going to go and do something else.
Exactly.
And they're not going to think about accounting till the morning that they get into work at 9 a.m, sorry. So it's hard when you do something that is so constant and it's all around you. And just reading then maybe, okay, so let's say you're really creative with your hands, but then reading, your people on people on Instagram love your recommendations. Like,
I know, I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, you've started a whole thing.
I know, I really, really love reading. It just takes my mind off of myself.
Yes,
then and I just get into a different world.
Yeah, escapism.
Yeah, exactly.
So say if you're like making a bag, it's easy to be like, oh, I should be in the studio. But if you're reading, are you lost in this book?
Yeah, I really, really enjoy reading. And also there was this quote that I always like, I feel like I live by it. And it's, you have to read to write. I don't know if I necessarily believe that for everybody, because I know some incredible writers and they're not massive readers. But for me, I feel like it really, really helps form my storytelling.
Yeah.
I love the use of like other people's adjectives when I'm reading, and it just inspires something in me. And also just reading about different topics. I'm like, oh wow, like what would that be like in song form? And so some of these stories that I write, it's like not necessarily about me. It's just like, maybe I'm reading a book and I'm like, wow, that plot, like what would that be like as a song? And that can like inspire something. Yeah.
And then do you kind of like, you mentioned there's an artist, Yaya Gayassi. I read an interview and you mentioned Yaya Gassi, and I loved the first book that she'd put out. It's an incredible book about these two generations of people that had come from Africa and then became slaves, and how they met in the modern world. Haven't read the new one, but you said you loved it, and I now want to read it. But you mentioned about trying to find the ways to, like how she wrote, to find the ways to maybe sort of like try and write in that way for you as well. And I just wondered, like how, you sort of mentioned about adjectives, but is there sort of about the sentences or the elongation of things that inspire you too?
Yeah, I think because there's obviously so many different writing styles. I don't know, I just can't get enough. I think I'm just a bit of a nerd for like just the way people describe things. Like even reading about like books on love, there's so many different ways to talk about love. And I just find that quite inspiring. There's always going to be a different take on it. And some of them for me are really going to hit me.
Yeah.
And some of them I'm going to be like, yeah. But like there's just different ways to talk about the same subject.
Yeah, universal topics.
Right. And that to me is like, I don't know, I think that's just so cool. People can do that.
Normally I'd ask like what would be, and we might get to that, but like normally I'd ask like what would be like your, the greatest written songs, but I want to also ask what are the greatest written books for you right now?
That's a hard question. That's actually like asking me what my favourite song is.
Okay.
It's a hard question. I don't know. I think one book that I always recommend people is this book called Tuesdays with Morrie, and it's by Mitch Albom. And I recommend that book only because it's just got such good advice. It's this old man who's like coming to the end of his life, and it's like just all about what he's learned. And again, I don't know, there's just this thing about tender people that write about their lives that I just really like drawn to. But yeah, he just seemed like such a brilliant man, and I really, really loved some of the things that he spoke about. It was just food for thought. Yeah, it's non-fiction. Oh, wow. And it's just a gorgeous book. I always recommend that to people.
Yeah. So say it one more time.
It's Tuesdays with Morrie.
Tuesdays with Morrie.
By Mitch Albom.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you more fiction or more self-help kind of, or non-fiction?
I'm a bit of both.
Yeah.
I think I can really delve into my like self-help books, but then I'll get to a point where I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm constantly working on myself. Sometimes I just want to read a silly book.
Yeah.
I just want to read a silly book. Yeah. So I'll just get out a novel and I'll be like, this is about some summer fling, and I'll just lose myself in that. So I like a bit of both. But I think there's something so beautiful about just taking time to just sit and read for a little bit.
Yeah.
For me personally, I just love that.
And do you think how do you make the time? Like, do you feel like I always think like I should have read more before Forrest was here, because trying to read a book on holiday is like the hardest thing. Whereas before I'd whiz through 4 books, and I could tell you the books that I read when I was away and stuff. And like now I'm like,
No, but that's the thing. I can imagine that that's actually really difficult, though.
So read all the books whilst you can.
Basically, I feel like that's probably, yeah. I mean, maybe I should be reading even more before it's my time. Yeah, because I think also what helps me is I also like put my phone in a drawer because I can be distracted. Like if it then vibrates, I'm like, oh. And then suddenly I'm like, it's been like half an hour and I'm just doing something on my phone now. But I was reading a book.
Yeah.
So I put it in the other room and I just take some time and I don't know, we'll read like a chapter or a few pages and
safeguarding that reading time. I like that you referenced Cleo Soul. You know, Cleo said love is free. So you also obviously, you know, you said before you really listen to musicianship. Say someone like a Cleo or any other sort of you love jazz standards. So from modern writers to those from the past, what makes a great songwriter?
Something that's honest, something that's real, and that could be like there are some songs that like I don't necessarily love for myself, but I can tell it's honest to that person, you know? Like it could be someone talking about heading to the club, popping bottles, blah, blah, blah. And that could be really real for them.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's something that is honest. I love an honest song. No matter the topic, I love an honest song.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important to having music. I also think just like taking time to actually know what you want to say. And there's different, like I said, there's different ways to say a certain thing, but I do love when I can hear that this has been thought about, and I can hear that like this is a new way of me thinking about this certain topic.
Yeah.
When it challenges me as well, I think that that's like a sign of a good song to me. Yeah. Personally.
When you're in the studio, is it written songs that you've written beforehand, or is it in the moment?
No, it's mostly in the moment.
That's
I
interesting.
I used to actually start by just like writing poems and then sort of like fitting it to these beats that I would like get sent by people. And
like type beats.
And then, but like as time's gone on, my process is really just like sitting in a room with musicians and listening to music, like jamming something out and hearing how it makes me feel, and then kind of writing around that. Or if there's something that's like heavy on my heart, I'm like, well, that is something that needs to come out. But I rarely do it before a session because I don't know the sound that we're going to create yet. I don't know if it's necessarily going to fit with that, or like, I kind of just want to get in there, see what happens, and then work from there.
Because in my head, it would have been like kind of, I guess, not pre-written, but I guess the requisite for it would have been. But it's interesting, like, you know, there's, I think reading the words and hearing the words, I feel like it's so concise what you say, you know, and we always talk about like the mother of lines, like, and I think one of the most powerful ones for me is I think, and maybe that's the problem. Yeah. I was like, there it is. Like, I always start everything with, if I'm writing it, I think, delete it. I feel, no, we need to do this, you know. Where did that line kind of come in the process of writing this song?
Well, because I think I was just overthinking. Yeah. I overthink a lot. And I realised that when I was writing this song, I was just like, it's too much overthinking. That's the point. And maybe I need to think less, trust more, do the thing, and then go from there instead of talking myself out of it because of my overthinking or thinking in the way that isn't actually going to serve me. Yeah. So that was really where that came from.
I thought it was brilliant. I was like, when I heard it, I was like, I think that's the problem. I was like, that is, definitely. I'm definitely someone that thinks so much. Yeah. And I just thought the way it was just sort of said was...
Yeah. And it's good to think.
It's funny.
It is good to think. Yeah. Of course, you should definitely think things through. But I think it's when it becomes really overbearing and then there's like no decision. It's just I'm thinking, it's looping. And then at some point I'm like, okay, no, we just need action now. We just need to do the thing, or trust yourself more, that just making the decision is like, it's anywhere you go from there, it will be fine. You've made the decision. So like whatever happens next, it's like you just have to trust that it will be fine. It will be fine.
And there's a slight humour in it as well. Like you are kind of like, you know, it's like you're taking the mick out of yourself in that line. You know, it's like there's a slight lightness to it as well. It's not like stop. It's not like stop thinking. It's like, oh, you know,
I'm just here doing the most again.
Yeah. So there's a kindness to yourself.
Yeah, I just was like, you know what? Because it's obviously so common to do that. But then I'm also like, I don't know, like life could be so simple sometimes, but we definitely can overcomplicate it. And I just think, like, maybe we all need to stop thinking as well.
Just for a second.
Just for a second.
Yeah. So how does this song fit with the rest of the EP and with the trilogy, actually? So in the lineage, the trilogy was like a music research project.
Yeah, essentially.
So where does this song fit within your research of society?
Well, I suppose after I finished writing this song, I felt like a big sigh of relief, because I was like, you know what? I just need to let go. I need to let go of control, and I need to just focus on what I can do with this project, with my life, with my career, and then hopefully just let the rest fall into place. So this song, it influenced the rest of the song. It was the first song I wrote for Field Notes 3, and it influenced the rest of the music, because I had this kind of lightness. Like you say, I was just like, I'm letting go of the control. I'm, you know, using my God-given talent, and we're going to just see what unfolds with me trusting that, like, it's going to be all good. It's going to be fine.
And then we have the resolution, so in the chorus, and it kind of sees us out as well. If you're ready to, we can leave it all behind. If you're ready to, we can leave it all behind. And that's interesting, because we come from the I's to the we's. So is this more kind of, is it the we as in the sides of you, or is it the we as in actually we can all do this?
Yeah, it's we as in we can all do this. And because, like I said, it's like, I think it's so common for us to just overthink things, complicate it. And I guess it was just like questioning, like, what would it be like if we just could start again, could let go, could lose the control? Well, I think that we can all just leave it behind and start afresh and see what unfolds. So it was like an invitation for all of us to like give it a go, see what happens. Yeah.
The song has resonated with so many people, like, you know, and it's definitely a personal one that has sort of resonated with me.
Yeah.
And I think I can't remember. Well, I first heard it because I played it on the radio first, but it's probably at a time where I was probably like, you know, screaming and screeching and forcing things into, you know, tiny molds, and then just hearing it, I was like, all right then, let's just have some fun.
Yeah. Ultimately, I'm like, let's actually just have some fun.
Yeah.
And I think this is the thing, when we label ourselves, or we feel like this is our thing, or like this is who I am, I think it can restrict us a lot. So really, I was just kind of like, let's just take all of that off. Let's just release that.
I'm showing you me.
Yeah. Let's just release it. And like, what would it be like if we released all of that and we weren't tied down to what we do? How would that feel? What if we just decided, I want to do something completely different?
Yeah.
But we can, because we're not what we do, you know? I've never kind of agreed with the whole, like, I am this thing, or like, I am music, or I just think, well, it's what I do. And I don't want to put too much into what I do, because if it was to just disappear one day, would I then lose my sense of self?
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm like, it's kind of what I do and who I am, but should it be? So I'm not there yet, but this song helps me in those moments. So the EP, you know, written over a couple of years period, we're now in 2024. I wonder what lessons you're learning right now. What are you learning about yourself right now?
It's a constant practice of the letting go thing, like letting go of what I think I should be doing, or how far along I should be. And the lesson is just to enjoy where I'm at more.
Yeah.
To like pause more and just enjoy how far I've come.
And you do deserve to celebrate, you know, how far you've come. That's important. Like, you know, what we said, the bodies of work, that the legacy, like it's there, it lives for itself. So if you want to crochet a lovely, beautiful bag on whatever day of the week that you decide, you get like, fuck yeah.
And actually, even that I think is so nice. Like, I am now living as a musician, which is like beyond my wildest dreams. And if I'm just sitting in on a Tuesday afternoon and I decide, do you know what, today I'm just going to make a bag.
Yeah.
I feel like that's such a blessing.
It's kind of radical.
Right?
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm even like, oh no, I feel guilty, I should be doing something else. It's like, actually, I really, really feel grateful. And this is what I like dreamed about when I was younger, like being able to choose how I spend my day and what I want to do.
Yeah.
And now that I'm like in that position, I'm like, oh no, I need to like be doing more. And I think I already am doing a lot and enough, and still working on an album and crocheting at the same time.
Like, I've been swimming lately.
The balance,
2 hours in the pool, you know, steam room.
Yeah.
I did wash my hair there, deep conditioning. So I'm in there a while. But then it's like, and then you have the moments like, oh, should I you know, like, should I be in a meeting right now? Should I be at home? Like, but no, it's like, I feel like it's the most radical thing, especially, and I will say, you know, I can only speak from my experience, but as a woman, to have the time not being in service of others, I think is quite a radical thing to be able to have the privilege to take the time.
Agreed.
What are you writing about now?
What am I writing about? Many different things.
Yeah.
This is the thing. I never really have like themes per se for my music. Been asked that question a lot with this album, like what's it about? And I just think, well, just everyday life or something I've read in a book that I've thought, how could I turn that into a song? Or nothing and everything. You know, that's the thing.
You should say that. Nothing and everything, nosy.
And everything.
Stop being so nosy. I love a line to leave people with. We always think of one line that people can leave this conversation thinking about.
So in the first verse, when I say seems the key is giving up in the sense of losing control. And I guess to clarify, I don't mean, you know, like giving up your whatever you actually want to do in life and to just like do nothing. And it's so hard to know what's going to happen. So it's just about giving up that control and trusting that things will work out some way or another. And to question what we think more. Yeah,
they're all great ones. To be honest, I think the whole song, normally this feels like a therapy session for the artist. This has been a therapy session for me. Thank you, Ego and
And me.
I needed it. Wow.
Thank you.
No, definitely. I think a lot of people listening will be able to really resonate with it. It doesn't matter what you do, where you are at in your life and what you want for your life. There's elements of this song that really speak to human nature. So thank you, Ego and
Thank you.